Hi, evening everyone. Welcome to Innovate 10X's online webinar on online property auctions. My name is Gabrielle Grant and my dear friend Andrew James asked me to moderate this session this evening. I am an attorney at law with years of experience in the real estate area. I am a realtor, a member of the Realtors Association of Jamaica, and I am an investment banker where I do real estate deals, real estate financing developments, etc. So this is a topic very near and dear to my heart. This is going to be a new way to invest in real estate, so I'm excited to hear what the panelists have to say. Joining us today, we have Mr. Kevin Nightingale, General Manager of Total Credit Services Ltd. And he's going to speak on the current process of getting properties to auction from a financial institution's perspective. And then we're going to have Mr. Andrew James, President of the Realtors Association of Jamaica and Managing Director of AS James and Associates Limited, speak to us on new opportunities in real estate auctions and the need to go digital. And then we're going to interview Mr. Sheldon Powe, founder and CEO of Innovate 10X, on the digital platforms enabling the scalability of the real estate market. So thank you everyone for joining us. Okay, like the proverbial sweet song of Nightingale over the years, Kevin has learned which tune to sing and has developed a unique ability to negotiate payment resolutions with the owners of distressed loan. Add to that his extensive knowledge of debt collection and what TCS offers is unbeatable. What better solution can there be but total support for the debtor and our clients? Kevin also finds time to serve his community where he was the president of the Citizens Association for the last 8 years, as well as he indulges in the passion for music, watching sports, travel, and photography. Hi, Kevin. How are you today?
Hi, Gabrielle. I'm not bad.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
All right. Before I get to my questions, is there anything that you want to say before we start?
I'm glad to be here. This is a new beginning, I believe, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this initiative. So I'm looking forward to the next hour or so.
Okay, so do you want to just give us some background on Total Credit Services and what kind of solutions you offer?
Well, Total Credit Services is actually primarily a debt collections company. With our aim really is to rehabilitate the customers of our clients. We have we offer services, additional services with respect to auction services, private treaty services, as well as foreclosure management and the management of these services as a byproduct, so to speak, of the mortgage collection process. We also offer property inspection services, that is for any entity, any financial institution that may have a mortgage book and has properties that they would like to give mortgage loans on. We are prepared to offer inspection services of these properties before you actually write the loans. So those are primarily the services we offer, but debt collection is really what we do.
Gotcha.
And we actually seek to rehabilitate all the clients. That's the primary intention. But collecting on bad debts, mortgage loans, secured loans, credit cards, as well as line of credit or any receivables that any entity may have. So our target audiences are really financial institutions, credit unions, even education institutions that may have outstanding debts, outstanding payments.
Okay, and so before I ask my next question, I just realized that, maybe a lot of people kind of know what an auction is, maybe have been to one, maybe have not been to one, but pretty much in the context of debt, under the Registration of Titles Act, an institution that has a mortgage registered on a certificate of title as one of the remedies for the mortgagee not paying the mortgagor not paying their mortgage, that entity can go ahead and take certain steps to exercise their power sale over the property. And it's generally accepted that in a part of that process, one of those steps would be to list the property for auction with an auctioneer service. So as it relates to public auction, how long have you been in the business of guiding that process?
Well, we have been doing this close to 17 years now.
Okay.
It's one of our main clients. We have been, so obviously it means that we have managed hundreds of auction processes, and that ultimately lead to private treaty sales as well. And also that means we have been well entrenched in terms of who we have dealt with in the real estate industry. We have engaged a number of the major auctioneering services that exist. So we are well experienced in this regard.
Okay. All right. And in terms of from a financial institution perspective, what would you say is the biggest challenge with the current auction framework? So just to give an overview to the audience, generally what you'll find is that these institutions will engage the services of an auctioneer who will act as their agent. They will advertise the auction a number of times in the newspaper, for example, and then persons will then attend an auction. They will sign a register, etc. The auctioneer will provide details in relation to the property, and they'll go through the auction process. In the past, why auctions have traditionally been attractive is because these would be properties where the loan has gone bad, and so the financial institution is looking to pretty much take out their loan by exercising their power of sale. And so persons generally would look at this and perceive it as a deal, that you can get a good price on our property if it is that an institution is putting it up for auction. So with that in mind, what do you think the biggest challenge that they're faced with now is?
Well, as you indicated, Gabriel, financial institutions dispose of their mortgage assets under the power of sale process that's contained in the mortgage. And preparing properties for public auction is not a process to be taken lightly, given that it can have serious legal implications. So as an entity that manages that process, we seek to ensure that proper and accurate documentation of the process is there, and attention to detail is critical in this process. So preparing for each auction requires an established process that we go through step by step, and checks and rechecks have to be done to ensure that the proper documentation is in place. So that's one of the first challenges. Because of the nature of this process, we don't have a willing seller in this scenario. We are disposing of distressed assets, and therefore that means we do not necessarily have cooperative mortgages. So there is always a challenge in trying to ensure that we, for example, get an updated valuation report that we have to have in order to list the property at auction. And sometimes simply getting proper and good internal photographs of the premises is a challenge. So you will find on occasions that a property will go to auction, but the images that the client has to rely on are not are limited and not necessarily the best quality. So we see those as really the main challenges that we have. But we really have to ensure that from a legal perspective, our correspondence is spot on. The documentation is really spot on.
All right, and just to give some context in terms of why it is that some of the information will be limited or access to the properties will be limited, is because generally what you'd find is when a financial institution puts up a property for sale by auction or then by private treaty, they'll be selling subject to existing tenancies, because they at that point are selling the property as is. And so as Kevin indicated, these properties are distressed properties where the persons who had borrowed the funds initially to purchase the property have not been making their payments and are being uncooperative. So, there are circumstances where you will not be able to get access to the property, you will not be able to see inside of it, etc. So you're buying it as is, and that is supposed to be one of the fundamental reasons why buying a property by auction is supposed to give you a deal, because you're taking some amount of risk taking that property as is. So if there are costs associated with getting out the tenants, etc., etc., you will then, as a purchaser, have to undertake those costs. But again, it can definitely be a way to get a really good deal on what could be a really good property. Okay, so what is the current process of getting a property to auction? So walk us through, how does it get there? What happens? So the loan goes bad, right, and then what
so
happens?
Yes, so we firstly have to have a defaulted mortgage scenario, right? Okay. And as our obligation on behalf of the financial institution is to ensure that the property default notices are issued. And again, attention to detail is critical at that stage. So once we have that, and then we are in possession of an up-to-date valuation report that states what the opinion of the valuer, what the value of the property is as at that date in time. With that, then we are able to instruct an auctioneer to conduct an auction sale on a quantity of properties. So we will normally go to auction with a minimum of maybe 10 to 15 properties, because there is the process for advertising for 21 days as required by law. It does give the defaulted mortgages an opportunity to save the property. Those who do not take advantage of that opportunity, then certainly on the day of the auction, we will then provide the auctioneer with the particulars and condition of sale, with other details, extracts from the valuation report that speaks to the accommodations and stuff like that. And well, that would normally be provided beforehand, so that in the advertising process, potential purchasers are able to see exactly what the properties, what they entail. So on the day of the auction, when we provide that reserved price to the auctioneer, then the auctioneer takes over at that stage and does their thing. But we have to, certainly at least 3 to 4 weeks prior to that, would have prepared all the necessary information pertaining to that.
So you basically make the preparations and then hand over to the auctioneer.
Right.
And you mentioned that very interesting word a while ago. I'm not sure if our listeners know the meaning of that word. You mentioned the word reserve price. Term reserve price. So do you want to tell us what the reserve price is? And it's a magical number. Is it always the for sale price? Is it the market value? What is it? Tell us a little bit
different
about
institutions will use either of the two to determine what their reserve price will be. Certainly some institutions treat auctions as the opportunity to get rid of properties, and therefore we'll go straight for the for sale value, right, and advise auctioneer accordingly. Mm-hmm. In some other instances, some entities may be a little bit more conservative, may also want to try and assist the client, so they go for the for sale, the market value, and so it may not necessarily turn out to be that deal that the potential purchaser is anticipating. But at the end of the day, what we strive to ensure is that all participants, there's a fair and open process because of the period of time that advertising has to take place. And on the day, each and every participant has an opportunity to place a bid based on the property that is before them. And we work pretty well with our auctioneer partners in ensuring that happens on a regular basis. So they are advised of the reserve price not before the day of the auction, just so that there is no collusion, no ability for any kind of impropriety to take place or anything of that nature. So we ensure that on the day, just before the auction starts, the reserve price is provided. And as I said, depending on the institution, if they want to go with a for sale value, then that will be the reserve price provided to the auction.
If it is that so in my capacity, for example, as an investment banker, and I make a real estate deal, I found a really interesting mortgage or a development, and for whatever reason, even though when I do a deal it doesn't go bad, what happens if I have to take the step to say, okay, well, Kevin, I need to talk to you? How do I get in contact with you? How do I engage your services?
Certainly, we're located at 26 Trafalgar Road, right smack in the middle of New Kingston. Our numbers are 876-920-4205 and 876-920-6573. Additionally, we have a website that persons can log on to get additional details, which is www.totalcreditservices.com. And that website has a host of information where we also have our listing of properties, whether assets, I should say, whether it be properties or motor vehicles, because we also dispose of repossessed vehicles as well. So on the website, you'll be able to make contact with any number of persons. I can also share my personal mobile number. It's 876-421-9221, and I'm the general manager, as you had indicated before, and I'm always available. If you don't get me by a call, send me a WhatsApp, and I'll be able to respond or direct you to a team member to facilitate your query.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I have his number already, that's why I didn't see me jotting it down there, but I hope he certainly took note of his numbers. And if he didn't, please just feel free to reach out to us and we can give them to you, or you can visit them at their website. Okay, so keeping the ball rolling, up next, I'm going to just have a quick chat with a dear friend of mine, Mr. Andrew James. He's the president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica. He is an experienced valuation surveyor, a land economist, and realtor who is the founder, owner, and managing director of A.S. James and Associates Ltd, a full-service real estate company which opened its doors in 2004. He has a wealth of experience in the real estate industry and has spent several years in both the public and private sectors. He's the holder of a professional sales strategy certification from FIU. He has a diploma in land economy and valuation surveying from the University of Technology, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of North Florida, an MSc in Geographic Information Systems from the University of Leeds. And in addition to all of this, he's also a director of several boards, including the Real Estate Board of Jamaica, the Commission of Strata Corporation. He is a director on the Architect Registration Board and the Professional Sales Association of Jamaica, and is also council member for the Association of Land Economy and Valuation Surveying, ALEVs, and the Construction Industry Council. He's a member of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, board member of the National Association of Realtors, and holds the designated of Certified International Property Specialist. And the Resort and Second Home Property Specialist designation as well. So, Andrew, thank you so much for having me. Andrew invited me here today. I moderated a session for him in December at the Realtors Association of Jamaica's Real Estate Expo and Conference. And today, Andrew is going to talk to us a little bit about A.S. James and Associates and the services that they offer. Andrew?
Thank you, Gabrielle. And to all our friends, good afternoon.
Okay, so for somebody that's never been exposed to a property auction before, what would you advise them to do in terms of, okay, so I see an ad in the newspaper, I'm interested in maybe going to this auction. One, what can I expect? When I'm coming, what should I bring with me? And is there anything that I need to do beforehand?
Well, similarly, when you're buying a property or interested in purchasing a property, I'd recommend that you speak to your financial institution to get pre-approval letter. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say to you is to, after getting a pre-approval letter, oh, you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first thing I recommend is for you to get your pre-approval letter from your financial institution, right, to confirm how much, in fact, you are able to purchase a property for. Secondly, I'd suggest that you at least check what your deposit is. Now, if you're coming to an auction, the minimum deposit at this time is 10%. So you need to ensure that you have this amount. If you are overseas and you're unable to visit the property, or you don't have anyone to look at the property for you, I'd recommend that you even look at the pictures. We usually provide adequate pictures or photos for you to look at, and so you can make your decision. After doing this, I definitely recommend that you speak to a valuation surveyor, reputable valuation surveyor, to get an opinion of value of properties in the area. After doing after doing 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'd say you're ready to come to the auction to bid.
Okay, awesome. And in terms of when I get to the auction, what can I expect? So we're going to talk about this future of online auctions, but just for now, you know, how does it take place now? What can I expect when I go? What is the usual run of events?
Okay. So now when you visit the auction, you register at the door. Then the auctioneer will read the condition of sale, and at that point, then you'll be able to bid. The auctioneer will have a starting price, and then as soon as you continue to bid, and of course, you have to bid higher than the last person. As I said, the auction is about the highest bidder getting the property. So, in a nutshell, as soon as you bid and the auctioneer get to a point and you say, okay, this is it, then the highest bidder will get the property. It's a very simple process. And what I usually say to persons if you're coming to an auction, worst case, even when you're buying a property on the open market, you're going to change the bathroom, you might change the kitchen. So there's nothing wrong with buying a property at the auction. Because even on the open market, you're going to do these things anyway. So I don't know, you can get a very good deal at the auction. Why stay away?
Yeah, definitely take that point. And you know, it's funny. So I have been in the real estate industry for quite a number of years, even though I look super young. And I've been to a number of auctions, right? And every auction that I've been to, it's only either been maybe me and one other person, maybe two other persons. And, you know, I would speak to the auctioneers and they'd tell me that, you know, auctions of the past would be ram. And, you know, you'd have persons buying up even 2, 3 properties at a time because they're getting them at such great deals. And that, you know, this was the way that you went out there and found real estate deals. So I'm really hoping that this is maybe something that will, you know, bring that back, because I think that there is so much opportunity in the auction space. Definitely. And I really don't think that people are taking advantage of that. And I think maybe even part of the reason for that is because, you know, sometimes people don't maybe take the care to look out for the ads or anything. So something that is bringing a solution of, you know, letting people know when these things are happening in a way that's maybe more in their face on social media, etc. I think that would be really great. I don't know what you think about that.
No, most definitely. And that's one of the reasons why we are motivated to take it. Because, well, one of the challenges we found, a lot of persons were not able to leave work to come to an auction, right? So that's one. And two, another thing that motivated us to go full speed is with the COVID, where social distancing and so on. And so when Sheldon and I spoke, we said, guess what? This is the time. This is the time. We will definitely not hesitate to get this going. And I'm happy to say there's no longer a case where people need to come to this physical location. We're going to a place where you can stay home and purchase a property. You stay in your office doing work lunchtime and take that to just view and purchase a property. That is where we're going.
Okay, so you mentioned before that, you know, the standard deposit on an auction, the lowest deposit you find on an auction is 10%, which is not too far off from your standard agreement for sale, where you'd be expected to probably pay at least 10% down as your deposit. What is the timeline for paying that at an auction? So do I need to have my money ready to go right there? Do I need to sign an agreement for sale right there? You want to tell us a little? I mean, I know the answer.
Sure, most definitely.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So usually what now exists is that you come to the auction, your bid is accepted. We say, guess what? You have until 4:30 today to bring that deposit, right? And but we're moving away from that. What we're saying to them, to the purchaser, because now it's not just locals that will be purchasing property online, right? from all over the world will be purchasing properties. And so we are given opportunity. So, okay, within 24 hours of your bid being accepted, you should pay that deposit.
And in terms of, okay, so I need to have my deposit money ready to go. You mentioned something else. You mentioned that pre-approval. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, in the real estate, we have to ensure that the person who is buying a property for 20 million can actually afford it. And so we encourage them to get that pre-approval first before you start looking. So if you're coming to the auction and you're going to check in terms of what properties are being sold for in that area, your pre-approval letter can guide you before you come to that auction. So you know, guess what? I cannot pass 10 million because I'm only qualified for 10 million.
And what happens if, for example, what are the safeguards in place? So if I make an offer, for example, so is it that I can't make an offer if I don't have that pre-approval? How does that work?
Well, for you to take part in the auction, you have to be registered, right? So when we ask you to register, we're going to ask you to, one, provide a pre-approval letter. Two, we're going to ask you to complete your customer information form. And of course, at that time, after completing these documents, then we'll be able to say, allow you to bid, right? Now, what we have seen in the past, and that's one of the things that we insist now, that if you're going to bid at the auction, you must provide this pre-approval letter. There are persons who have come to the auction before, and yes, they have been successful, but guess what? They don't have that deposit. And there are another set that will get the property. They are being pre-qualified, but they just don't have the deposit, or vice versa. They just can't afford the property. And so we're trying to put in these mechanisms in now, so we don't have that problem or minimize that problem.
Okay, awesome. And then in terms of methods of payment, how is that generally done now? So I mean, I guess we will definitely go on to discuss how the online process will change everything, but how is that done now?
Well, presently, we'll take a manager's check to the office, and you know, number of the banks are moving away from that, and so we're now encouraging our clients to, one, if you're overseas, then you look at wire transfer. If you're here, then you look at the RTGS, or you know, so those are options available.
Awesome. And so, okay, and I'm gonna ask you a little bit about what are the advantages now of taking this process online. How can we streamline everything? How can it be more efficient? How can we open up our markets internationally? You know, we have an active diaspora that are interested in buying real estate here, maybe coming back to retire here, or, you know, just want to move here in general with everything happening with COVID, etc. So how do you think this will change everything? For example, you raised the registration process. Is it that I just have to register once now and then I can participate in multiple auctions? Am I going to have to update my documents periodically? You know, so just walk us through, how is this going to change how auctions are done?
Okay, so once you register, you're able to, your registration will last for 3 months, just like most part pre-qualification letters will last for 3 months. So every 3 months, if you want to participate, then you register. And once you register, then so the auction now is going to last 3 days. So say today is Monday and we're open up. You register, then before registering, you need to at least upload the documents, right? So you upload, as I said, a pre-qualification letter, your customer information form, which includes your your photo ID, and of course, a proof of address. When you submit those documents, our officer will review it, and then basically you're approved. A number will be assigned to you, and so you can come to the platform to bid. So once the auction opens, so for example, we have an auction starting on Friday, this Friday. So come Friday, 12 o'clock, you can go on the platform and bid. You will see all the other persons who are bidding. And so you'll know, okay, this person bid 10 million, then I have to bid 10.2 or something like that. Come Monday, it ends Monday at 12 o'clock. So that's it. Once 12 o'clock comes, nobody else is allowed to vote, to bid. And once the highest bidder, will send an email to that person, communicate to them, just let them know they have been a successful bidder, and of course, give them their banking information and so on. We'll send also the document, that's the condition of sale to the person. And of course, once we receive evidence that the funds have been paid, then they can sign that document, send it back to us, and then I'll sign it and it goes off to the attorney, who will in fact send it off to stamp office. So it's a very simple process.
Okay, awesome. It does sound pretty simple. And I like the fact that you said that that auction lasts from a Friday to a Monday. You know, you have the whole entire weekend to go check back, see, maybe increase your bid, etc. So how does the bidding process actually work? So is it that, you know, you just put in your bid and then, you know, can I call you and tell you what my bid is? Or how does it, what are the safeguards built into the system to like avoid things like collusion or things like that?
Well, it's transparent, so everyone can go on the platform and see the bids going on. So, you know, it's there for the public to see. It's a public auction. Transparency, yeah.
And I expect that that should provide benefits not only for the persons looking to purchase, but also, you know, the financial institutions that need these services to auction properties for them. You know, a nice, efficient, and transparent process that, you know, satisfies the law on, you know, putting up the property for auction, and then, you know, maybe proceeding to the next steps as necessary. And maybe this may even mean that the next steps after auction are no longer necessary, you know. So that will be interesting to see. Okay. So you also mentioned a little bit about registering and uploading documents, and we all know that, you know, Jamaica will see the data protection bill passed into law pretty soon. So we're going to speak a little bit more about that, but I'm just going to pause really quickly here and just move over to the man over the hour, Mr. Sheldon Powe, to, you know, just discuss this platform with us for a little bit. So Sheldon is a serial entrepreneur and innovation catalyst. Sheldon boasts 21 years as a CIO for JMB through many growth years. He is a former PwC consultant with deep knowledge of proven methodologies around the governance of ICT and ICT projects. Sheldon has proven experience spearheading successful businesses, example, the Sylvan Family Care, Optimum Trading Limited, and Ideal Lab. He serves on the board of SSL Ventures, Blue Dot, and JCS, and possesses a CISA, a CISSP, a CISM, a PMP, and ITIL certifications. Lots of letters there. All right, everyone, we welcome Sheldon. Sheldon, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me?
Can everybody hear him?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, I think so. I'm good.
Okay, so Sheldon, tell us a little bit about Innovate 10X.
Yes, so we're actually located here in our Empathy Lounge at Innovate 10X, where actually JPEN was actually born. But Innovate 10X is a digital transformation company. We have 4 business lines. We do innovation, consulting, research, and development. So if you're looking to get into new technologies and you want to do proof of concept, proof of technology, do a little testing before you actually go and spend the big bucks. We'll help you with that. If you want to do a business case for example, in the manufacturing industry, there's something called Industry 4.0 where you look to automate your the processes within your factory. That's something that we can help you put together a business case in. We do global product representation. For example, this office is a smart office. I can actually control all the electronic devices, outlets, lights, everything from here or anywhere in the world. So if I forgot to turn off an air conditioner, if I want to turn on air conditioner before I come, or if I want to check and see if I left on air conditioner, I can do that, and many more. We do digital product commercialization, and JPEN is actually an example of one. What happened there is that one of my business partners, Matthew Bird from Smart Eco, he called me and said, "Shall you realize that the last auction that Andrew James had put on, he had to postpone it because of COVID." And I said, "Whoa!" And I said, "Boy, why don't we talk to Andrew about using JPEN for property auctions?" I called up Andrew, and Andrew, as a partner, he came over here, and this is where what we do in terms of product commercialization, because Andrew will say that he is a technology novice, and certainly I have more of a clue when it comes to real estate auctions. So what happened? We got together, and along with Smart Eco, which is they understand business strategy and you know, revenue models and all of that. And we have Mark Ramsey, our company secretary, and our legal advice. We all came together, and Andrew came and explained the process to us, how it works manually, and we looked to see how we could actually digitize the process under a partnership. And that's what we do, a little secret sauce for digital product commercialization. We are the technical experts. We expect the business people to come with their ideas, and then we come together and see if we can come to some kind of a agreement. Now here we have the innovation lab where the magic happens. I have my Liz right here, or robot, she's right beside me. We do robotics training here. We have hackathons. We did a hackathon the other day with over 400 participants with NC looking to find digital solutions for COVID that went extremely well, and we're looking to see whether or not some of the winners of that hackathon, there was a $500,000 prize money that the winner got. That was actually pretty good. We're looking to see if we can actually bring their product to commercialization, similar to what we did with JPEN.
Okay, awesome. And so does that mean then that JPEN is not just going to facilitate online auctions, but other, you know, it's Jamaica Property Exchange Network. What else will be on this platform?
So we started this process with Andrew James at least a year and a half ago, right? And I said he'd be the expert. So what we're looking at doing with JPEN, so everybody has a front office website that allows people to view properties, to book a property, or maybe to start a mortgage process. But the entire back-end process is still pretty manual. So we actually met with a couple of real estate agents and Andrew James in terms of head of the Real Estate Association. We met with a couple of lawyers and, you know, other partners, banks and all that, and looked and understood all of the processes that were involved in buying, selling, renting, and now auctioning our real estate. And we have built out that entire back-end process. So therefore, even the offer process, where somebody makes an offer for a property, there's a counter offer that happens that we digitize that, and it could be a counter offer on top of a counter offer, and you could be managing several counter offers. And there's also transparency in the process, which Andrew spoke about being very important, because you want to make sure you offer the person who actually gave the best price first, and not be, for example, keeping back somebody's offer because you're trying to give it to a friend, that kind of thing. But doing everything electronically, the audit trail is actually there for everybody to see. So JPEN, what we're looking for JPEN is a platform that brings all the stakeholders together. So you have purchaser, the seller, the lawyers in terms of the legal agreements. So our legal agreement templates that, for example, Mark Ramsey did a legal agreement template for JPEN. If you don't care to modify it, you could actually use ours. If you want to modify it, you're free to modify. Same, we've been working with a lot of mortgage companies. We have Realtors here. We have Jamaica National on the table, speaking to a lot of other bankers. So, but what happened when Andrew James, when he thought about it, he said, boy, let us start and pivot JPEN and start with what we think is most practical at this point in time, which is auctions. So because he had to cancel or postpone the auction because of COVID, I said, let us just start with that particular feature. So now we're very happy to have a property this week that we're looking to auction, and we actually have more looking to at least three more looking to do after this.
Okay, awesome. What kind of properties are we expecting to see on the platform? Will it be all kinds of properties? What can we expect? And you want to tell us a little bit about the services and the exciting features that the platform has built into it?
So my good friend Kevin spoke to properties being in distress that normally ends up on the auction block, and I would say that he spoke Gabriel would experience of going to auction and only 2 or 3 people there. So imagine that your property went up for auction and only 2 or 3 people are seeing it. You're not going to get the benefit of having quality people from all over the world looking at this. So even properties that have gone in distress, what we're bringing is that we can advertise the property properly worldwide, and having convenience. Other Jamaicans can be looking at it and make sure that it's being sold at a fair price. You're likely to get a sale than just that people have the time to actually go down to an auction. The other thing is that Andrew and I have been actually speaking to real estate developers about our value proposition, and a real estate developer typically has a number of townhouses or apartments that are willing to sell at different prices. So we actually have found a few that have said, look, they're willing to use this as a means for selling their property. So they, for example, might have a brand new 2-bedroom apartment that may say, you know what, I'm willing to let this one go for 20 million, although it's 25 million. Why they want to do that? Because it's maybe pre-sale, pre-construction, or, you know, just to get cash flow liquidity. So we expect, and we're going to advertise it, so it's not only those properties that are in stress, but those who want to, you know, have a quick sale at a good price, but still want to make sure it's open up to a much wider market. So what are some of the features that we're talking about? So we have for the auction, there's a real-time auctioning screen. So I guess it can get exciting if there are a number of people bidding at the same time. So in real time, if you're actually watching the screen, you know, if there's you have to start at what is it, under the reserve price? You start the bidding at, there's a starting price. Right, and then once you reach reserve price, that's when it's so. But in the starting price, so if you know that a property is valued at 30 million, and the bidding starts at say 20 million, you know you're getting a very good price. So in real time, you can be seeing the offers coming in, and you'll always know whether or not your bid is actually on top. The other thing, because you can actually submit the documents electronically. Right, we actually accept, we as and Andrew is a licensed auctioneer, so that's what we are speaking about. Andrew here, I'm the tech partner in this, is that Andrew is willing to accept documents electronically, so you don't have to come down to his office, right? I know somebody was asking Andrew whether or not if they have cash in the bank, if they do then their pre-approval letter, perhaps you could think about getting a bank statement as an option instead of the pre-approval letter. We have the ability to also exchange confidential documents on the platform. So if you have two, you have the purchaser's lawyer and the seller's lawyer can actually be negotiating the contract online. We're tracking the timing as well. So from the time it takes to do the auction, yes, there are some processes that will still be manual until the complete Electronic Signatures Act has taken over for exchange of property. But we can still track how long it will actually take, the different, where is the hold up at this point? Is it at the bank is supposed to give the mortgage? Is it that the title has not been transferred as yet? Because it's electronic, we can actually digitally track what is going on. The other thing is, which Andrew said, once you register, right, Andrew has allowed for, I think, 6 months before you have to refresh your document. So once he has let you in as somebody that can take part of auction, for at least the next 6 months, if there are other auctions happening, and also, so when Kevin is auctioning the next 15 properties, or when Andrew is having a lot of new other properties that's coming on, you'll actually be able to take place for another 6 months. So there are lots of benefits that you will get. The other big thing, the current way auctions are done, they'll auction a property now for maybe like an hour. So it's Thursday, from 12 to 1. And if you're not there, you miss it. Now we have moved that. I said, no, let's start it Friday afternoon, run it for the entire weekend until Monday. And you can have more than one auction happening at the same time as well. So doing it digital, it's a lot more transparent. I actually do believe it's actually safer, right? And you'll actually be able to have your property being shown to a wider market.
Okay, well, we haven't opened the floor for questions yet, but while I was just skimming through the Q&A section, I saw some persons asking questions about, like, you know, what is to prevent persons from, you know, just doing bids to drive up the bid price? And the same question that I had asked about collusion earlier, but based on what you're saying, you're seeing the bids happening live. So, you know, all of the bids are there and visible to everyone using the platform. But in terms of, so what if I'm a mischievous person and I go and make an extremely high bid? What happens then? Walk me through that.
On the worst case scenario, which is possible, if we see a bid that actually makes absolutely no sense, the auctioneer, which is Andrew James, can remove that bid, right? So if it makes no sense, you can probably even contact the person, because as you remember, that's why I spoke about the registration process. Yes. When you're bidding, you're given an auction number that nobody knows. So you will not know who is actually bidding, but Andrew will know who actually placed that bid. He will look at your credentials, of course, because that's what he's there for, whether you qualify, and he may choose to check with you and you realize you're bidding twice the amount for a property, and you never can tell. You maybe want to do it for sentimental reason. So but if Andrew believes that the person is just driving on the price, and he as an auctioneer can actually remove that bid, which is important, because then it would have to stop the bidding, because the next bid have to come in at higher than that. And it's good because we have the entire weekend. So possibly if he does it at the last minute and reject that bid, we could probably move to the next highest bid if from the list.
Okay, that makes sense. So now to my favorite question, and this was the first question I asked when I was called, and I knew the answer to the question already, but still needed to ask. This online property auction thing, is it legal? Does it comply? Does it check all of the boxes of an auction under your registration of titles act, etc., common law, blah blah blah? Is it legal?
So we have Mark Ramsey. Mark, if you're right here with us, you could speak. Mark Ramsey is our company secretary, and also our lead advisor on this project, and we get an opinion from my inspector and Gardner, which we shared with Mark Ramsey. So Mark, you want to say a few words?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I think this can be addressed also in the context. The last question, there's an anonymous question about wet signatures as well. Yes. I think it all fits in. So the major challenge that remains is that stamping real estate transaction documents requires wet signatures. Otherwise, agreements can be signed, can be entered into electronically, because there's the Electronic Transactions Act. Now, in terms of the auction itself, there are three main acts that govern auctions. The first is Registration of Titles Act, then there's the Real Estate Dealers and Developers Act, and then there's a Conveyancing Act. Based on these primary pieces of legislation, there's nothing in any of them that would prevent an online auction from taking place, provided that the usual requirements are met. So for example, having a licensed auctioneer and other requirements such as value, having fair value and things like that. What we've done in our process of providing advice is to ensure that the process starts almost in a beta phase. So whatever has to be done offline is going to be done offline initially. And as the platform develops, then more and more services can be moved online. But until that Stamp Duty Act is amended, the wet signatures issue is going to remain. And so the transactions can't all take place with electronic signatures. So there will be a point at which the process will go offline. And one thing that JPEN has stressed from the beginning is that the purpose is not to replace the actors that have developed certain processes over the years immediately. So lawyers are used to doing things a certain way. What the platform does is it makes things more efficient. So it's really a low risk approach. So at the end of the day, it would be a valid auction that takes place under the law. And then the offline portions will be done in the typical way, with attorneys processing conveyancing documents, sending them to stamp office and things like that. So we've fully vetted the process, and we're very confident that it will satisfy the legal requirements.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. And just to, not let our overseas listeners get discouraged, a lot of persons ask me all the time, can I buy property in Jamaica when I'm overseas? Even if you're taking the process offline, the answer is definitely yes, 100%. You can execute your documents before a notary, etc. You can go to the Jamaican consulate where you are to have them executed, and your lawyer can send you these documents from wherever you are in the world. So you can definitely, the process having to go offline does definitely not include you as an overseas buyer. And then I think everybody probably wants to know, okay, so I'm going to be giving you these documents. I'm registering these documents with you. How do I know that they are safe? How do I know that they're secure? Are you following the guidelines in the data protection bill that will soon be law, GDPR issues. You want to touch on a little bit of that data protection to just make everybody feel comfortable?
Sure. So the data protection gives the consumer quiet control over their data that we are actually collecting. So we have very transparent agreement where we only collect information required to do the electronic bidding. We're not going to ask you anything more than that. We only show information on a need-to-know basis to authorized personnel such as the auctioneer. We will have an email that we might send you to make you aware of other auctions to come or other properties that may be in the particular category you're looking for. And of course, there will be the opt-out clause. All of those certifications that we spoke about earlier, I'm a seasoned security person as well. We have other independent people that look at the system from a security perspective to make sure that the site is actually very secure. And we also have plans of putting this the agreements on a blockchain, which I won't go into right now, but blockchain is actually where you actually have what you call a public ledger. So where you would actually be able to see who would have actually read your information, when and from where. And that's something that would be maintained by independent parties. That's why it's a public blockchain. But for now, even on the Data Protection Act and the agreements that we have, if we were not to follow these rules, we actually would be on offense of law, and we are all law-abiding citizens. So rest assured, we'll make sure that your information that we take from you is very secure. And I will also say there are 2 legal people in the room, and Kevin for sure, and everybody here, one of the first thing they've been asking for is to make sure everything that we're doing is above board. And I'm sure I can say we have certainly done all that we can, and we'll continue to do even more to make sure that information is protected.
Okay, I have an interesting question. Suppose I am not a financial institution and I just want to auction my property for auctioning its sake as a method of selling my property. Is that an option open to me?
Yes.
Okay, and you want to tell me a little bit about how I would look at doing that?
Usually we recommend that you get a valuation done to guide you in terms of the asking price, the market value, and so you can make a decision. You can inform us. Once you contact us, then we can walk you through the steps in terms of getting a property to the auction. But yes, that's something that we definitely be encouraging persons to do.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're now looking at some questions coming in from the audience, and if you are listening and with us, please, feel free to send in your questions. We're going to be taking them now. So I see an interesting question here from an anonymous attendee asking about how soon before the auction commences will we be able to see what property are advertised and what will actually be up for auction that given weekend or whatever the time period is.
Usually 21 days we advertise properties for. So from the first ad, then 21 days after, that's when we have the auction. So in this case, say today's the 1st, the auction would open online on say on the 21st, and then the auction itself will close on the 24th. So pretty much you have 21 clear days for ads for you to do all your research, all your checks. So by the time you come to the platform, you'll be well informed. You can make an informed decision. Yes, yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody wants to know if the bids are anonymous and if there is a minimum amount that they will need to be pre-approved for to register on the platform.
At this time, once you have a pre-approval letter, because we'll be having different properties on auction, we don't necessarily want to put a minimum at this time.
Okay.
So the auctioneer will actually know who's bidding, but the general public will not know. They will just they'll see you have an auction number and how much you're bidding, but they won't be able to know the name.
Okay.
Or the person.
Okay, and in terms of, so I know that in physical auctions in the past, somebody might send somebody to kind of be their sort of proxy at an auction. So would this facilitate that, or since it is that the other persons may not be able to see who you are, it wouldn't necessarily be required for you to maybe consider doing a proxy situation?
I don't think it would be necessary.
Okay. Okay, interesting. All right, let's see what kind of other questions we have here. Somebody wants to know where our auction ads placed now.
Sorry?
Where can they see ads for auctions now? So, for example, I guess they're maybe saying that, you know, they've never seen property advertised for auction. Where is it typically?
Okay, typically, the Gleaner or the Observer. We add newspaper, really, and of course social media. If you visit our website, acejamesrealtors.com, tells you about upcoming auctions.
Okay. Somebody wants to know, if the registration is good for 3 months, how many auctions can they expect to participate in over that 3-month period?
It's difficult to say. One financial institution can provide 15, and individual decide that, hey, or 2 individuals each has 2 properties. So we don't know. It's difficult to say.
Somebody wants to know, if you sell my property at an auction, what will be your fee?
We discuss fees after. We don't want to discuss fees on here.
Okay, fair. Looking for some other interesting questions. We've seen some more questions. Persons are asking if they will be able to sell their properties on the platform, which I believe we already answered. So you don't have to be a financial institution to list your property for auction. You can go ahead and contact the team here to do that. So you want to maybe walk us through that. How do I, so with the online platform, how do I go about listing my property for auction? Do I need to contact you outside of the platform and put it up on it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm offline. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just a connecting. Me too. You too?
Yeah. Okay, so while we're sorting out our minor technical difficulties, we're just going to show you guys a quick demo of the actual JPEN that we have here for you. You want to go ahead and roll that for them?
Okay.
There we go. Is everybody hearing the audio?
No. No.
Muffled.
Yes, but it's low.
Your audio is low. Yeah. In the meantime, I see a question here asking if this platform eliminates the need for licensed auctioneers. So maybe if you are listening from earlier, you would have maybe heard us say that one of the elements to have a legal auction is for the auction to be conducted by a licensed auctioneer. So the licensed auctioneer that will be facilitating auctions on this platform is Mr. Andrew James that we have here with us. So no, this platform will not be eliminating the requirement for licensed auctioneers. We have another question. All right, we have another question here asking, okay, so subsequent to the bidding process, once it's closed, will they receive email notifications that their bid was or was not successful? Will they get details as to what the highest bid actually was? How long after the completion of the process can they expect correspondence?
Well, I don't have.
I can answer that one.
Okay.
Remember, the bids would be seen live. So therefore, if you check back, you'll actually be able to see the highest bid that the property went for. We do send an email, of course, to the winner unfortunately, with this version, we don't send you an email if you're not the winner.
Successful.
If you're not successful. But you will definitely see the amount of bids that happen on the property and the highest bid.
Okay, awesome. All right. You're gonna go again? Okay, so we're gonna try and roll the demo of the actual platform for you here now. So just bear with us one quick moment. So this is the actual web page. And it's redirecting us to the demo.
Is someone working?
Mm-hmm.
You could probably, I know, it's like, we could put a link to the video on Andrew James' website so they can watch it at their convenience. Let's not try that. Here, Gab, we're gonna put it's a 6-minute video that we put on Andrew James' website, right. His Facebook page and website. Yeah.
Okay, so in the interest of time, we've decided that since it's a 6-minute video, you can just visit Andrew James's website. Andrew, you want to just give them the website details again in case they never got that earlier?
It's jamesrealtors.com.
Yes, jamesrealtors.com. Okay. And I mean, back over to the audience, you know, we're looking out for your questions. Somebody wants to know if they need to be registered for the auction to see the bids. So somebody wants to know if they need to be registered to be able to view the bids. So for example, if I'm just curious and I want to see what's going on, can I do that, or do I have to actually be registered?
You have to register. No, I tell you, you have to sign up to the platform. If you're not registered in the auction, I don't believe you can still see the bid once you're signed up on the platform. Okay. So Andrew James may not have let you in to bid, but you actually will be able to view the bids if you're registered on the platform. Once you're registered on the platform, it's simply we'll capture your user name, first name, last name, and a valid email address.
Okay. Some persons want to know, is there a fee to join the platform?
No.
No fee.
No fee.
Okay, and to repeat the website again, that's asjamesrealtors.com. After the winning bid at auction, how long do you have to pay for the property?
24 hours.
Well, to just take that question generally, so we had mentioned that the process goes offline. So at that point, you would then the auctioneer passes over to the attorney, and that would then be ironed out between the attorneys. So it's definitely advisable once you're purchasing land in Jamaica, whether you're here or abroad, to definitely engage an attorney at law to represent you.
Can I add?
Sure.
I know it was mentioned earlier, but just a gentle reminder that it don't have to be a cash purchaser to bid at the auction. Okay? You don't have to be a cash purchaser. A lot of persons have the opinion that they have to buy cash. No, you can actually, just like taking a mortgage, and come to the auction, just for the record.
Okay, so I have a question. What are the odds of me managing to get a really good deal on a property in terms of in consideration of like the reserve price or the first for sale value? You want us to have a little quick discussion about that?
Okay, sure. So with this, we have a starting point, all right? The auctioneer, during the auction, is there as a guide. So if we are far away from the reserve price, the auctioneer will make a bid, which will guide you towards the reserve price. When we get to the reserve price now, then of course, the person who, at the end of when the auction closes, the person with the highest bid will definitely be the successful bidder.
And do you let them know when they've reached the reserve price, or?
No.
Okay, so the reserve price is a very secret number.
Yes.
And I have actually, having done auctions for clients of mine in the past as an attorney engaging the auctioneer.
Right.
You know, I've seen where you only tell the auctioneer even the reserve price on the actual day, because it is such a secret number. You know, you don't want anybody to know what it is that you're. So the reserve price is pretty much the minimum number that the person engaging the auctioneer is willing to accept. And so really and truly, whether or not you're able to get a deal on an auction is really dependent on what that reserve price is set at in relation to maybe like the market value of the property. So as Kevin would have mentioned earlier, for us, you have some institutions that are very conservative that may set their reserve price at the market value of the property. And then you may have other institutions that actually set their reserve price at the for sale value of the property. So once it is that they're able to get the for sale, which means that that is the, for want of a better word, fire sale price on the property, the least that you'd really want to sell it for, then, you know, they're okay with selling it at that price. So that's just to give you some context around the deals that can be had in the auction space. All right, anybody have any more?
I would like to add to that, Gabriel, that in our experience over the last 2 years, we have seen a significant increase in the number of properties that have been sold at the auction. I know you said that your experience going to an auction, you will see only 2 or 3 persons. That was indeed the fact over the last maybe 8 or 10 years. But surprisingly, the last 2 years or last financial year, we actually saw an increase by about 98% in the number of properties that we got sold in our auction processes. The year before that, it went up by about 56%. So for some reason, I would think that the market is now really seeking to embrace the auction process. And I believe that this platform will only seek to enhance that trend, which we believe that is where we're heading. Actually, prior to COVID, we had 2 auctions held earlier in the year, and we had actually sold 1 property in one of those 2 auctions, and we were actually geared for another auction just at the time the pandemic hit, and we actually had to postpone that. But I'm making a point, though, that the market is seemingly ready and poised to embrace the auction process a lot more. Persons are in fact purchasing their dream homes via the auction process, and this platform, I believe, will facilitate a greater inclusion of persons, including those from the diaspora who are seemingly left out in normal course of business.
Okay, that's interesting. And, you know, I do find that the real estate market, and I guess Andrew can add to this, the real estate market was really doing some great things these last 2 years. You know, it was really booming. Then, you know, the pandemic came and hit us. I've written an article in the Jamaica Bar Association's publication on real estate and the effect that COVID has had on it. But from your perspective as a real estate dealer, what have you found the impact of the pandemic to be on real estate transactions? Are you seeing them going through? Are you seeing a lot of people pulling out? And, you know, even in the context of this online platform, how do you see it going in a context where, you know, it's being reported in the news that the amount of unperforming loans are increasing at drastic levels? So this is maybe a very good time for this platform, as you said. You want to just kind of give us some color on that?
Interestingly, what we have found is that there's still not enough properties on the market for sale. Prices are not, they're not reducing prices, and so the demand is great. We find a number of persons overseas who are now looking at investing more in Jamaica than before. We find, and we have to bear in mind also, can't forget, interest rates are still at its lowest. And so persons who, interest rate being low, your deposit as low as, if you're buying on the open market, as low as 5% or lower, it's a motivation to own a piece of the rock. So based on what's happening now, I suggest to people, I continue saying it, buy now, because I'm sure when this is over, or even the new norm, everybody wants to own a piece of the rock. And try and get it now, because there's no telling what will happen later on. COVID or no COVID.
I definitely agree with you. And I think one of the reasons why real estate has still been, I agree with you that I certainly have seen where real estate prices have not fallen.
Yeah.
You know, they've been maintaining for the most part. I mean, maybe you might see a little reduction in rent here and there, but certainly for the properties that are for sale, I haven't really seen any reduction in the prices at all in the pandemic. And I would say that just goes to show you how resilient of an asset real estate is, because it is a real asset that you can touch in your hand. You know, for some time, you know, the equities market went crazy, you know, and I think maybe that is why persons have said, okay, well, you know, maybe this is really the time that I should be investing in real estate. Also from the perspective that, you know, at a time when a lot of us were forced to work from home, I think persons really appreciated the value of having somewhere nice to live, and somewhere that you'd be comfortable, you know, being shut down with your family, you know, for an extended period of time, or maybe even a vacation home that they could come and fly back to and stay here, you know. So I definitely think that, you know, even with everything going on, it's still a great time to consider investing in real estate. So, you know, I definitely would be excited to see how the first auction goes on Friday. I hope that you keep me posted. I'm checking in for more questions from the audience here.
During the auction on Friday, we'll be loading some additional pictures on tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so come Friday, we go live.
Okay. Somebody wants to know if they can sit in on the next auction to get a feel for it. You probably have to register, as Sheldon and Andrew said. You know, you have to register for the platform so that you can see the auction. But definitely, that being said, though, there are auctions that are taking place all the time. I'm not sure if they've been really happening in COVID, but you can certainly, you know, generally auctions are public auctions, you know, so you do have to sign a register to be there, but you are able to go and participate if you'd like. But for this, you definitely have to register, so I'd encourage you to do so. Somebody wants to know if you can go through any agent to purchase via auction. Well, as you purchasing personally, right? So, what do you think about that question?
Well, I'm not sure what she means by that.
Yes, So,
because I'm of the opinion that if she has an agent, that agent can
go to the auction for her
and actually get a commission from it. I guess that's
not
what
really
asking.
In the traditional sense. You know, generally you would go to the auction. You could, as we said, some people in the past would have sent persons to go and, you know, be a mask for them. So if I was a super rich, mysterious person, I would go and send my henchman to go and be my face at the auction, so they wouldn't know it's me bidding on the property. But in you know, with these new innovations here, you wouldn't necessarily have to go and do that. You know, you could just, it's all anonymous, so you can definitely go ahead and feel free to bid for yourself. You wouldn't need to bid through an agent. The auctioneer themselves is an agent of the person who is selling the property. So the auctioneer is selling the property on behalf of the vendor.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I would add, if you wanted to give somebody, maybe your lawyer, the a power attorney, and then he will show where he has a pre-approval letter or funds for purchase or whatever it is, and he would actually be the one going and doing the bidding, but he would have to have submitted all of the documents to do so.
For the question about our website, I repeat that it is www.totalcreditservices.com. We actually have some social media pages as well, which we will be posting on the recorded version afterwards for anybody who wishes to contact us via that means.
I have a question, Andrew. Are we ready to accept auctions applicants for Friday? Are we opening it now or are we doing it tomorrow?
Doing it tomorrow.
Doing it tomorrow.
Morning. Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, okay.
So that's if in case you didn't hear that, you can register for Friday's auction as soon as tomorrow. I'm definitely curious to see how the process works. So I myself will be registering to take a peep. And yes, you do have to register to be able to see the auctions. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Any more questions from the audience? Last call. Somebody wants to know when will the data protection be in law. So it's passed 2 houses so far. So it's not that far away from being implemented into law, or passed into law rather. But that being said, however, the Act does allow for a period of compliance. So the Act will bring a lot of interesting changes to the data protection space in Jamaica. That being said, it's in the best interest of organizations to, really make sure that they're ready for it, because it does place a lot of obligations on any data collectors. And these guys definitely have taken the requisite steps to make sure that they're in a position to be ready for it when it's passed. And even now, without the Data Protection Act having been passed, there are rules, for example, the GDPR, which governs the collection of the data of persons from the EU. And so once you have persons from the EU using your website, etc., you are actually bound to follow those regulations. So, the data protection space is an exciting space, cybersecurity, electronic transactions, we're moving online. And this is definitely a great step towards conducting business online. So I really want to congratulate you gentlemen for putting together something that I think would definitely help to invigorate the Jamaican real estate market. And thank you so much for having me here to moderate this awesome session. I really, it was my pleasure to, spend some time with you and hear about your platform. And I'm just going to hand over to you guys in case you have any closing remarks to make.
Well, in the order that we started, I will just say, and just to add to what you just said about the data protection, that I know the financial institutions that we work with, quite a few of them have in fact established protocols concerning data protection with the creation of data protection officers and such alike. So they are pretty ready for the formalization of the legislation. But for Total Credit Services, or TCS as we are called, we are ready and willing to engage any financial institution that wishes to engage in the offloading of mortgage assets via the auction process. We have the experience, we have the know-how, and we have the team for it. And just to repeat our contact details again, our numbers are 876-920-4205 or 876-920-6573. That's for our office, located at 26 Trafalgar Road, right beside the British High Commission. And my contact is 876-421-9221. It's also on WhatsApp. My straight line is 876-920-4579. And our website address again, www.totalcreditservices.com. Thanks for having me on this event.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. I just want to say the team at Ace James and Associates Limited. One thing I can say about them: customer service, reliable, and of course agile. We offer the full service real estate. So whether it be sales, rentals, valuation, land surveying, auctions, of course, property management, we offer the full service. We're only ready to serve you. So don't hesitate. Our contact number, 876-754-0043. Our website is asjamesrealtors.com. My email address is ajames@asjamesrealtors.com. The social media thing will be posted shortly. Again, it was a pleasure, and looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you at the auction online.
Yes, and I'm very excited about this partnership that we have going with Andrew James and Associates and Smart Eco and Mark Ramsey and Associates. I won't do too much selling for Innovate 10X. If you have your customer right beside you, smiling and laughing, that does show that he's he's probably pleased with where we are so far. There's a lot of trust that he has put in Innovate 10X to work with his organization on this new initiative that we of course, we have dreams. We want to see a lot of properties being going and take this route of using JPEN for auctions. The website is jpenweb.com, right? And as Andrew James said, it will be up from tomorrow, so you can please feel free to register. And yes, we're planning to take this throughout the Caribbean at least, and then certainly to the rest of the world. We at Innovate 10X, we think big. That's a 10X in what we do. We don't like to look for incremental increases or marginal. We want exponential increase in sales and business for our customers. So that's the 10X part of it. So we're starting small, as Mark Ramsey said, we're starting some baby footsteps to make sure everybody is comfortable, iron out all the kinks, right? And then we're gonna go large. We're gonna 10X. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Gabby. Thank you, extremely thank you. I mean, Gabby's the type of person who does her homework first, and she makes sure that she will not, we're reputable people. I know Andrew James, you had a lot to, in terms of your background, but Gabby does her own checks as well, and and thank you, Kevin. Total credit. I thank you very much as well. Partnership. It's teamwork and dreamwork.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
We each have gifts from God, but when we combine them, the magic happens.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much.
And just handing over for a final word from Mark. Mark?
Sure. All I'll add is that I think JPEN represents the best of Jamaican innovation and creativity. It's not just a COVID solution. It's a solution that Jamaica has needed for a long time. And I just encourage the JPEN team to just continue innovating. I want to encourage everybody that has joined in to just continue innovating and really take advantage of this platform. I long for a day when things can be as easy in Jamaica as they appear to be in foreign, and this is one good step in that direction. So thanks again to everybody for joining in.
Thank you guys so much for joining again our online property auctions webinar. We got to hear from Mr. Kevin Nightingale from Total Credit Services Ltd, Mr. Andrew James from A.S. James and Associates Limited, Mr. Sheldon Powe from Innovate 10X, and Mr. Mark Ramsey. And once again, I'm Gabrielle Grant, attorney at law, realtor, and investment banker. You can look me up, reach out to me if you have any real estate deals that you're considering doing. Thank you so much again, and we definitely look forward to you registering for the platform once it's live tomorrow. Take care until next time.